Hello, welcome to the Rashad Mitchell Show on Spreaker, coming to you live from Paterson, New Jersey. My name is Rashad Mitchell. On February 26, 2016, I'm here to bring you an informative, impactful show that has a lot of information to the table that I'm going to bring with this show. And I thank those who are listening right now on Spreaker and those who are going to be listening later. This is Rashad Mitchell. Today, I'm going to talk about the NBA recap. I wanted to talk about the book that I bought years ago about the NBA top 50 greatest players. Elliot Cobb wrote an excellent book about the top 50 greatest players, and he's like a stats guy. But anyway, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to talk about the reasons why before the show ends, but I'm going to talk about the NBA recap, and I'm going to get into the so-called blaxploitation era. I'm going to talk about the pretty boys of that era. And they were called that, but they were great actors in their own right. Then I'm going to get into some spiritual stuff, switch it up a little bit, talk about who do we try to impress? Is it God or is it other people? So it should be an action-packed, thrilling show. First and foremost, I'm going to get into the NBA last night, February 25th, the recap. There's only 6 games last night, and we're going to start with who else? The Golden State Warriors. They now 52-5. I mean, this team just continue to keep it rolling, man. This Steph Curry is no joke, man. He had 51 points last night. He hit three-pointer. He hits a three-pointer to record. Well, it's a record that he has. 128th straight game where he hit a three-pointer, including a 44-foot shot that banked in at the buzzer during the game. So this guy's on another level. He had 10 three-pointers. Golden State overall beat Orlando, which is not a surprise, 130-114. Curry just playing at a high level, and he was 20 for 27 from the field, 10 of 15 from the three-point line. This guy was just on point last night. And again, there's nothing else to describe what superlatives to say about Golden State. I mean, they just an unbeatable team right now. They play Oklahoma City Thunder tomorrow night. I wouldn't be surprised if Golden State wins that game, because the problem with Oklahoma City is that they have 2 great players in Westbrook and Durant, but they don't. It's the other guys that they got chip in and do something. It's like they have not figured that out. And plus, since the All-Star break, Oklahoma City, I don't think, has won a game yet. They lost to Indiana. They lost to the Pelicans last night. They got blown out on Sunday afternoon against Cleveland. So I think they're 0-3 since the All-Star break has been over. The second half has not been a very pleasant second half so far for the Oklahoma City Thunder, which leads to like a must-win for the Oklahoma City Thunder. But back to Golden State, man. Golden State just rolling right now. I mean, they're 52-5. It's the best 57-game start in league history, the best ever. And Steph Curry's going to win the MVP. I mean, he's just far out and away the best player right now in the league right now. He has surpassed everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. Golden State improved to 5-1 on the 7-game road trip. They can play tomorrow night against Oklahoma City. I don't think they're going to lose to Oklahoma City because Oklahoma City is just not playing well. So that's the story on that for Oklahoma City, who plays Golden State tomorrow night. And that's the story on that, with the Golden State Warriors beating Orlando last night, 130-114. Next, we had Milwaukee and Boston, where Boston beat Milwaukee 112 to 107. Boston's trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. They're trying to get things done. Isaiah Thomas did his thing last night. And the Celtics are playing very good basketball. They won 9 games in a row. This is their 9th straight win at home. Isaiah Thomas had 27 points, including 8 in the fourth quarter. Crowder had 20 points, 8 rebounds. Avery Bradley had 18 points. All 5 Boston stars were in double figures. So they be a Milwaukee team, what they're supposed to be. They're a better team than them. So we give all the credit to Boston. They playing good basketball. They play Miami tomorrow on Saturday. So give credit to Boston. They're playing good basketball right now. See what their current record is. I don't see their current record. I don't see their record. So Boston won last night. That's all the music said. They won last night. You see the standings right now. I really want to see Boston's record. I ain't saying they're going to do that much in the playoffs, but Boston's playing great, man. They're actually 3rd in the Eastern Conference, 34-25. So they're right in the thick of things. I ain't saying they're going to get the number 2 seed, but it's possible. It's not out of the blue. It's not out of question. When you look at the Eastern Conference, Cleveland's number 1, Toronto's number 2. Matter of fact, Cleveland plays Toronto tonight. But Boston is 34-25. Great job by Brad Stevens. This is not a great, talented team, but they're playing great. They're playing hard. Okay, let's move on. Utah lost to San Antonio. That's not a surprise. Utah trying to keep their playoff hopes alive. Spurs are just continue to play good basketball. Spurs handled their business against Utah. Kawhi Leonard had 29 points. They won their 4th straight road victory. Greg Popovich in a quote said, "This is the best game since we came back from break." Stuff like that. So you gotta give all the credit to this team. And Tim Duncan had 14 points, 11 rebounds. Tony Parker scored 16 points. They're 49-9. They shot 48% from the field. They were just a dominant team in this ball game last night. They won. They had a 20-point lead throughout this game. That was their biggest lead of the game. So they playing good basketball. But can they beat Golden State? We'll see. So 96-78, San Antonio handled their business. 96-78. We're gonna move on to the next game. Brooklyn, I don't want to get into this. Brooklyn beat Phoenix 116-106. I'm not going to go into details with that. See, last night you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games on the NBA hardwood last night. But Houston and Portland played last night. And Houston pulled out a big victory against Portland. They won 119-105. 119-105. Impressive win on the road. James Harden had 46 points. This win snapped the winning streak of 6 games against for Portland. Portland had a 6-game winning streak that had been playing so well, but James Harden was hard to stop. And this is an impressive win because the Rockets were trailing by 21 points in the third quarter, and they was able to come back from behind and win. So James Harden had 46 points. Dwight Howard had 19 points and 13 rebounds. Harden scored 19 points in the fourth quarter. Damian Lillard had 23 points, and CJ McCollum added 20 points. So their backcourt was not as effective like they usually are, but they was able to win and able to get the victory, and give all the credit to Houston. They won. So Houston plays San Antonio on Saturday, while the Trailblazers play Chicago on Saturday. So that's the story on that. And last but not least, I'm going to speak about definitely OKC. Oklahoma City played New Orleans Pelicans, and the Pelicans surprisingly beat the Oklahoma City Thunder 123-119. Impressive win, as they beat the Thunder. Again, Oklahoma City Thunder is not playing good basketball since the break has begun. The second half of this season has begun. They have not played good basketball. 30 points for Anthony Davis, 4 block shots. 3 Pelican reserves combined for 60 points, including 26 points by Ryan Anderson. Drew Holiday had 22 points. Tony Douglas had 12 points, including 10 in the fourth quarter. Westbrook had a big game, 44 points. Durant had 32 points, but where's the other guys? Norris Cole scored 21 points. Dante Cunningham had 10 for New Orleans. So, again, where's the supporting cast coming from when you look at the Oklahoma City Thunder? Where's the other guys? They're not getting it done tonight. These days. Ibaka had 15 points, 2 block shots. Oh yeah, I forgot Oklahoma City did beat Dallas the other night. So this is their first loss. What they did on Wednesday, I think it was. I think they beat Dallas the other night. So this is their last loss. The first loss that they, had to deal with, because they did beat Dallas and then they lose last night. So Oklahoma City still at the same time have not played very good basketball, despite, coming off the All-Star break. I think they 1-3. But either way, they have to beat Golden State, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think Golden State will win tomorrow. They will prevail, and they will get the victory. No doubt about it. So that's my recap. I'm done with that. I'm going to move on to something else. I wanted to get into another subject. About the pretty boys of the so-called Blacktation era. My name is Rashad Mitchell. This is the Rashad Mitchell Show. I'll be right back. I'm going to take a break. Be right back. Welcome back. This is the Rashad Mitchell Show on Spreaker.com. Sorry for the delay for taking a break, but I was trying to find the next segment that I want to talk about because I finished, obviously, the NBA recap. Wasn't that many games on last night, but I'm done with that. Still got plenty of time in the show, but I'm going to get to my second segment. I want to talk about the pretty boys of the blaxploitation era. I think it was so-called because in the 70s, black actors and actresses was getting a lot of work doing their thing through their acting and their career. And they was able to have success with that. And they showed that blacks could be great actors and great actresses. Mm-hmm. So I think I wanted to discuss this because they the ones that really made black cinema what it was. In the '60s, you didn't have that many heroes, especially for black actors. Sidney Poitier was that guy, but he was not a physical person. But anyway, I must jump to the pretty boys of the so-called black exploitation era, because it was so-called. I think that term wasn't a good connotation to use. Blacks was just doing their acting and doing what people didn't think people would see at the particular period of time. But I want to discuss this. The first guy I'm gonna talk about is Fred Williamson. Fred Williamson was a gorgeous specimen of a man who started off playing pro football for the Kansas City Chiefs and the Oakland Raiders. He would later make the transition to acting. He turned a lot of people off with his conceit and arrogance. He had like an attitude like a Kanye West. He liked to toot his own horn, but that didn't stop him from having a very successful film career. In particular, regarding Fred Williamson. He starred in several hit films, and he's one of the few blacks to live in a Malibu beach house. At this time, Williamson lived with 3 women. He was also a savvy businessman who negotiated distribution deals for several of his movies at film festivals. This feat was unheard of for black Americans in the 70s and the 80s. So this pause right there. Fred Williamson is a pioneer, not only in the films that he was in, but for him to do something like this, be a businessman and negotiate distribution deals for several of his movies. And remember, he was an independent guy. He did films and all that, but he had his own production company, Poi Boy Productions, which I think he started in the 70s. But anyway, for him to do that was unheard of for African Americans in the 70s and the 80s, to negotiate distribution deals for movies at a film festival. He was able to accomplish that. Also, he made 6 to 7 figures annually during his peak as an actor. So this guy was a self-made guy making that transition. It's not easy, when Jim Brown obviously made that transition coming out of football and playing, dealing with, being a Dirty Dozen, 100 Rifles, 3 the Hard Way, whatever it is that he did. But Williamson kind of superseded what Jim Brown did, because I don't think Jim Brown did the stuff that I just talked about just now. But it is what it is. Fred Williamson is a unsung pioneer and hero in black cinema. Also, there was information that he was a successful architect who designed the Contra Costa County Courthouse in Northern California. So that's Fred Williamson. Yeah, he was a pretty boy. He was like the Big Daddy Kane of the 70s. He was that playboy. Next, Calvin Lockhart. Calvin Lockhart came here from Jamaica. He had great looks. It garnered so much attention when he arrived in Hollywood. He was so uncomfortable with the attention that he tried to disfigure his face with scissors until a friend told him to enjoy what God had blessed him with. Lockhart was beautiful with long lashes, smooth chocolate skin, snow white teeth, and his hair was naturally curly when he cut it down. Lockhart co-starred in a series of successful films with Bill Cosby and Sidney Poitier. But he wasn't just another pretty face. He also owned a profitable construction company when he wasn't marrying rich socialites. So Calvin Lockhart was one of those pretty boys in the so-called blaxploitation era. The next guy is Jim Kelly. Now, Jim Kelly starred in several black martial arts films in the 70s and became an icon in the black community. He was in movies like Enter the Dragon, Black Belt Jones, which had a co-star in Gloria Hendry. I think her name's Gloria Hendry, but anyway, he revealed that he and Bruce Lee were going to do a film after Game of Death. But Bruce Lee died before they worked on the project, so they was going to do another movie together, other than Enter the Dragon. But Jim Kelly was the Black Bruce Lee. I mean, he broke down barriers because in the 70s you didn't see that many black martial arts guys and doing it the way he was doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, he played that character of a martial arts guy, Jim Kelly, and he made his mark. So Jim Kelly is another guy that deserves to be considered up there as one of the great actors. More than just a pretty face, but he was able to get things done. Jim Kelly. Next, Clifton Davis. Clifton Davis actually didn't star in a so-called blaxploitation movie, but he was in a show called That's My Mama. It was a hit show in the 70s, and he dated Melba Moore during this time. He was flying high as a songwriter. He even produced and wrote Never Can Say Goodbye for the Jackson 5. No, he had some tough times. No, he was a very good-looking guy, but behind the fame, he was allegedly an alcoholic and on drugs with suicidal thoughts. His brother called when he was once contemplating suicide, saving his life. But Davis would turn his life around, and he has become a man of the cloth. You know, I think he's a minister, and he does, I guess he's still doing motivational speaking. So, Clifton Davis is another one. Another guy that stands out. Fred Williamson, Clifton Davis, Jim Kelly, Calvin Lockhart, and Fred Williamson. These were the pretty boys of the so-called blaxploitation era. So I wanted to discuss that. So this is Rashad Mitchell on the Rashad Mitchell Show for February 26, 2016. I just wanted to switch it up today. I got a lot of ideas going, got great plans with what I'm doing with this show and more to do after that. So that's why there's a reason why I didn't do the top 50 NBA greatest players. I did that for a reason. I'm saving that for something else. But I will talk about that close to the end of this show. But I did the NBA recap, the pretty boys of the so-called blaxploitation era. Now I'm going to go into another segment called Who Do We Try to Impress? It's like a spiritual thing. Are we trying to impress God or people or ourselves? I'll get back to that segment in a moment. This is Rashad Mitchell Show on Spreaker.com. Be right back. Welcome back to the Rashad Mitchell Show. I'm your host, Rashad Mitchell, February 26, 2016. I'm back to do my third segment. It's going to be about who do we impress? Who do we impress? That's the question. Now, the world says, if you got it, flaunt it. Why hide it? If you got the body, show it. If you got the brains, let everybody know it. If you got money, spend it so everyone knows you're loaded. If you got talent, tell us about it. See, this deals with impressing others. Now, if you're a Christian person, should you do those things? I don't think you should do those things, because we need to be pleasing God if we're supposed to be Christians. You can't just act a certain way in front of people and then don't please God when nobody's around. Now, the question is for Christian is, does everyone have to know what and whom we give? The question again, does everyone have to know what and to whom we give? Christians aren't spiritual smug. Elaborate prayers, brag about how much we serve, brag about how we have built the church. Or should we let everyone know about how much we pray, how much we study the Bible, how spiritual we are? Should we do stuff like this? Because in chapter 6, in that chapter, it talks about beware of practicing your righteousness before other people in order to be seen by people. For then you will have no reward in heaven. The Father God will not reward you in heaven. So we must give without applause. So what we should do, if you're a Christian person, number one, don't seek applause with giving. When you give, don't seek applause. Not to everyone around you, not even to the one receiving the gift. We should not seek applause when we give. We should not seek it. Applause from nobody except God. And when we pray, pray without pride. Pray upward, not outward. Thing about prayer is that prayer doesn't have to be loud to be heard. Prayer doesn't have to be eloquent. Prayer isn't gossip. Prayer isn't a means to promote an agenda. private prayer is no less effective than public prayer. Another thing that last but not least when it comes to prayer is that you don't need to broadcast all of your prayers, because God answers prayer, not people. So that concludes that, who do we try to impress? Is it people when we do good deeds? Who are we trying to impress? It should be God, because God's the only one that has the greatest rewards. The greatest rewards are in God's hands. It's not in my hands, nobody's hands. That's why I don't sweat it. When I look at my life, I'm not a popular person. I'm not a well-known person, even though I'm doing this podcast. I'm not doing this for that reason. I'm doing it to get my stuff out there with the books and all that. But I do have great content. I have something to say. But it's not about trying to be popular. It's about doing things on purpose for a reason. Well, people do things for a reason. I'm not doing this for an agenda. I can care less about what people think. I mean, I am a grown man. I know who I am. And at the end of the day, I know who I was. I don't have to prove nothing to nobody. So when I go back to who you try to impress, it should be God. It should never be people. Because people can't take you to heaven. People can't send you to heaven. People can't answer your prayers. People can't lead you to heaven. People can't lead you to salvation. Salvation is not found in people. True satisfaction is not found in people. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, it's good to respect your fellow man, but don't fear them more than you fear God. We should be fearing the Lord, not fearing people. So, then the third segment that's the question for people. If they want to impress somebody, who do you try to impress? Is it yourself? Is it God? Or is it other people? It should be God, because he has the last word over who we were on earth. And I think another thing about true Christianity, it really begins in relative obscurity. You got to be anonymous, because when you are anonymous in your giving and your praying and the good deeds that you do, that's all that matters, because God sees everything. From the time I rise up to the time I lay my head on my pillow, God's watching. I'm in his presence every day. I don't need people to see me to do the right thing. Another thing too, we can't feed into the praise of men. It doesn't matter what people say about us, because it won't profit anything on Judgment Day. On Judgment Day, it's not going to be about what people said about me. That's why I don't sweat the small stuff. I don't care about popularity. I don't care about what people say about me. Even if it's positive, I'm not going to feed into it, because that's what the devil wants. He wants us to feed into the praise of men like it's necessary for us to live for that. But we don't need to do that. We don't need to flaunt how much Bible we know. We don't have to flaunt and let everybody know what we're doing for the Lord. It's nobody's business. That's why you got to be about our Father's business and work out our soul salvation, not to impress somebody else. It's to please God, who's better than everybody else. So if people can't come to a conclusion about that, then there's always going to be a problem with them being insecure within themselves. We got to be secure within ourselves and in God. We don't have to look for it in nobody else, because there's insecurity there. You try to find security in people, it's kind of stupid. My security should be in God and who I am as a man. I know who I am. I see myself every day. God sees me every day. Those are two people I need to be secure in, God and myself. Everybody else is irrelevant. Because the thing you got to understand is that just because people don't know the stuff that you do that's positive doesn't mean you didn't do it. You did what you did for the love and for the glory of God. That's the way it's supposed to be. If you're going to do things for the glory of God, that means people can't see it. People don't have to know. It's nobody's business. That's between me and God. People got to stay out of the equation. That's why I try to do my best to try to be humble, have humility, and do things out of obscurity, anonymity, and be anonymous. Because people don't know what I'm doing doesn't mean it's over. I just love doing the right thing. I mean, I don't care if people don't know what I do for the Lord. I don't care. I love being under the radar because I look at my life. Now I can speak for it's my life. I've never been the most popular person in the world. I've never been the life of the party. I've always been under the radar. Always been underrated, unsung in more ways than one. I like that because the last shall be first and the first shall be last. Just because you're popular doesn't mean you're real. I'd rather be real and genuine than be popular and glamorous. Because just because you're popular and glamorous doesn't mean you're real. Doesn't mean you have true integrity. Doesn't mean you're doing the right thing when nobody's watching. That's the most important thing anyway. So that ends the subject on today's third segment about who do you try to impress. And I'm closing out. Got a few minutes left in the show. We got a couple of minutes and some seconds left in the show. I didn't do the top NBA greatest players, the top 50, because I'm going to be doing another show, doing 3 more shows to my name. I'm going to be doing a Rashad Mitchell's book show. I'm going to be doing Rashad's book review show. I'm going to be reviewing books such as that top 50 greatest players book. I'm going to be doing reviews on that show. Then I'm going to do the year review in music, looking at music from hip hop, R&B, soul, maybe gospel, but I'm going to add different elements to different shows, just trying to pigeonhole everything into the Rashad Mitchell show. I'm going to spread it out to 3 different shows and talk about different stuff, from book reviews to talk about my own books, the Rashad Mitchell's book show. That's going to be dedicated to my own books, nobody else's. And when I do the book review show, it's going to be all about other books that I've read, or maybe some other books that I have interest in looking at and analyzing. It's going to be dedicated to other books when I do the Rashad book review show. And the year review in music is going to be about looking at music from the past, whether it's hip hop, R&B, soul, funk, what have you. I'm going to discuss it, analyze it, and bring it into proper perspective. So I'm going to have 3 different shows on Spreaker. I think it's a great deal, a great venture and endeavor that's going to work better because I can get better listeners, more bigger audiences to see my diversity and what I'm going to talk about. So that's going to be coming real soon. Tune in. It's going to be great. So that's why I didn't do the book thing. I got into the pretty boys of the so-called blaxploitation era, and then who do you try to impress, and obviously the NBA recap. So this is Rashad Mitchell. I'd like to thank those who were listening and those who are going to be listening later. The show is going to get better, bigger and better, and all the other shows that's coming is going to be great too. Until then, this is Rashad Mitchell signing off. God bless.